You know, we use writing every single day, right? But have you ever really stopped to think about what an absolutely radical, world-changing invention it is? I mean, this isn't just about sending a text or jotting down a shopping list. This is the story of how humanity literally created its first ever external hard drive, and in doing so, completely reprogrammed our entire society.
Seriously, just try to imagine this for a second. No books, no signs, no contracts, not even a single tax record. How on earth do you run a government, manage trade, or even remember your own history if every single piece of information has to be stored inside someone's brain? That was the unbelievable challenge our ancestors were up against.
So, let's take a trip back in time to a world totally without writing, a world where all human knowledge was, frustratingly temporary.
Now, don't get me wrong. People were incredibly ingenious. They used everything they had. All of a culture's knowledge was passed down through these epic poems and songs performed by storytellers. They'd carve notches into tally sticks just to keep track of their animals. And over in Mesopotamia, they came up with this really clever system of tiny clay tokens. A little cone might mean a measure of grain, a cylinder could be one of your animals. It was a brilliant start, for sure, but it had some serious limitations.
And that's where they hit a wall. It created this massive bottleneck. Because as these little villages started ballooning into huge cities and trade networks began to stretch for hundreds and hundreds of miles, well, the old systems just couldn't handle it. You can't run an empire on a handful of clay tokens and a good memory. Humanity had basically hit its first ever data storage crisis. A new system, something permanent and standardized, was needed, and it was needed fast. And that brings us to Mesopotamia, basically modern-day Iraq, where the solution finally appeared. This is the birthplace of what we can really call the first true writing system.
So, meet Cuneiform. The name literally just means wedge-shaped. And that's because of the marks a reed stylus would make when you pressed it into soft clay tablets. It was developed by the Sumerians, who were just brilliant. And this wasn't just another set of pictures. This was a complete, functioning system.
So how did it work? Well, its evolution was absolutely genius. It starts off with simple pictures, right? Pictographs, a drawing of a jar, means a jar. Pretty straightforward. But then comes the big leap. Those pictures get more and more abstract, standardized into those cool wedge shapes. And here's the most important part. The symbols started to represent not just things, but sounds and abstract ideas. All of a sudden, you could write down a person's name, a prayer, a complex law, anything.
And you can see that critical shift right here. Look, on the left, you've got a simple drawing of a head. It's direct, sure, but it's limited. Now look at the cuneiform version on the right. It's way faster to write, it's more uniform, and it's not just a picture of a head anymore. It can now represent the idea of a head, or even the sound that goes with it. That abstraction, that was the key that unlocked the full power of language on a piece of clay.
Now, an idea this powerful was never going to stay in one place. It was like a revolutionary piece of software. The concept of writing just started to spread like wildfire, with different cultures developing their own unique versions to fit their own needs.
And just look at this incredible diversity. Around the same time cuneiform was getting started, Egypt was developing its beautiful hieroglyphs for monuments and papyrus scrolls. Over in the Indus Valley, a script that we still can't even read appeared on clay seals. And in China, the first characters were being carved into oracle bones to tell the future. Different scripts, different materials, but they were all solving the exact same problem: how to store information outside the human brain. So you've got all these unique scripts popping up all across the ancient world. But this invention, it was so much more than just a new way to communicate. It was a catalyst that would fundamentally change what it even meant to be human.
Writing basically became the new operating system for civilization. With it, you could suddenly record taxes and track trade with perfect accuracy. You could preserve your sacred myths and stories word for word, like the incredible Epic of Gilgamesh, for every generation to come. And maybe most importantly, you could create a single set of laws for millions of people and record knowledge about medicine and the stars that would have otherwise just vanished.
Okay, let's zoom in on one specific moment to see this power in action. The year is about 1750 BC, and over in Babylon, something truly revolutionary is about to be set in stone. This quote, it comes from the Code of Hammurabi, one of the earliest and most complete legal codes ever found. And for the first time, laws weren't just the whims of a king or some local tradition. They were carved in stone for everyone to see. Justice became permanent, it became standardized, and that was only possible because of writing.
But think about this for a second, Because this is wild. Writing literally created history. The line that we draw between prehistory, that murky past we can only guess at through bones and artifacts, and history itself, it's defined by one thing: the written word. Writing is the moment the past finally started speaking to us directly, in its own voice. It was a game changer.
So, in the end, writing wasn't just some neat upgrade. It was a total transformation of our species. We went from relying on the fragile, limited, and fallible memory of individuals to building a collective, permanent memory for our entire civilization. This external storage didn't just change our societies, it changed our minds. It paved the way for abstract philosophy, for complex science, and really for the entire world we know today.
That ancient clay tablet, that was the first hard drive. Today we've got cloud servers and massive digital archives. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? After thousands of years of getting better and better at recording information, what comes next? What's going to be our next great memory tool?